Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of the 10-Minute Moan. In this one, only be half a moan because it does share some good news. Excuse me. Now, breaking news this morning, as expected, we just didn't know the date, but Lucy Connolly would eventually finally be free from her 31-month prison sentence early. And today, early reports suggest that today is the day. And I think that's fantastic news, not only for her and her family, but for her friends and supporters all up and down the UK and further afield. In this bizarre story that has caught the world's attention, and let me just remind you that Lucy Connolly was guilty of a tweet that was up for 4 hours, and for a crime she pled guilty to. Well, normally, when you plead guilty, you get lighter sentences. And that made me think at the time, if a 31-month sentence is handed down to someone who pleads guilty to a crime and receives a shortening of their tariff, what would they have gave her if she pled not guilty and was found guilty in a court of law? What was the real tariff if 31 months was the reduction of tariff? And this is absolutely bonkers. This story will not end with Lucy Connolly's freedom. And the reason I say that is when people are put under pressure with allegations, criminal allegations, unless you can spend tens of thousands of pounds on the top level criminal defence, you generally get not the best lawyers. And they do tend to get their clients to plead guilty because it's easier for them. And it's easier for the Crown, it's easier for the prosecution, but that would normally see a reduction in sentence, and this certainly seems bizarre. If the 31 months handed down to Lucy Connolly had any reduction in it whatsoever. Now, another strange thing that's in my head today, if Lucy was sentenced to 31 months and she's got out just now, it must be because of her impeccable behaviour while in prison. Now, that's just common sense. However, we need to remember a story from about a month ago when an MP visited her in jail and saw that she'd had bruises of handcuffs and was heavy-handed and dealt with strangely in prison. She was taken out of a wing apparently for people who behave well and was put in a wing where 2 people had died in the last 12 months. That doesn't sound like the behaviour of prisons to someone who's well behaved, but her being released today shows that she must have been well behaved. So why was someone who was sentenced to imprisonment for a tweet being harshly treated in our jails? This makes no sense to me, and nobody can argue that she didn't behave well in jail, or she simply would not be getting free today. And then you consider other things. You have a Labour MP who physically attacked someone in the street repeatedly. Once they put them on the ground, continued to attack that person, given no custodial sentence. Now, Lucy Connolly did put out a tweet that it could be described as harsh, could be described as silly, but the tweet was removed within 4 hours. And the tweet, as we heard in her appeal, which failed to have her sentence shortened, the tweet was done by a woman who was triggered by the death of 3 young children, as she had lost children in the past. That was not taken into consideration in her sentencing, and that was ignored in her appeal. This makes no sense to me. And the fact that a country like America were actually monitoring the situation from their equivalent of their Home Office beggars belief and tells you how ridiculous our country is now being viewed by other world leaders in other countries. It is absolutely crazy. And when you have people like Lord Toby Young of the Free Speech Union paying for the appeal and the costs of the appeal, that tells you the feeling of the nation. Now, he wasn't defending it on the free speech issue. He was actually defending it on the ridiculousness of the sentence. and using comparisons as how other people. Lucy Connolly served, even though she got away early, she has served more time in prison than people who have attacked, abused children and females. This is absolute crazy. And I genuinely hope that she enjoys her time away. I hope that she gets to do whatever she wants. If she wanted to stay out of the limelight, nobody could blame her. If she wanted to sing for the rooftops for justice for others, then nobody could blame her. But she has to do what she wants next. And I guess as soon as she comes out that gate, she'll have a horde of people all telling her what she should do and why they should go on their podcasts and their TV channels. And that's wrong. Leave the woman alone. Let her have peace. There was some interesting details in some of the reporting of this that just beggar belief. Absolutely beggar belief. And the photograph I've used for the thumbnail, just want to share something with you. There's a woman on a night out, evidently enjoying herself, and she's presented herself well, as most women do on a night out. But the photograph that was used by the majority of the media, even today when she's released, is this one you see, a mugshot from prison. Couldn't even give the woman a piece of dignity with a half-decent bloody photograph the whole time she was in jail. And that's a bit shit, if I'm honest with you. It's no difficult. I managed to find one by simply Google searching her. A nice photograph with her enjoying herself, but no, that isn't good enough for our media. And as I say, I kind of guess she'll be met at the gates by hordes of people telling Lucy Connolly what she should and shouldn't do next. And I hope she's strong enough and people are actually enough civility about them to leave her. This woman was obviously, I would imagine, and I have good reason to say this, I'm not just plotting it out there, but I believe she was coerced into pleading guilty. And I don't think for 1 minute, when the discussions were going on what she should do, that anybody anticipated or suggested to her a 31-month sentence. It is ridiculous. And I do believe there is far more to this story than we have seen in front of our faces. But that should be Lucy Connolly's decision. If she wants to come out and talk about it, if she wants to do anything about it. But you bet your bottom dollar she'll be full of people telling her what to do. And anybody I know, I would plead with them. Leave her alone. Give her time to she decides what she wants to do. And if she wants to do anything, she'll have plenty of people out there wanting to tell her story. But the fact, it's strange, that the one thing that really gets to me is the fact that we heard the story 1 month ago of her having injuries to her wrists through handcuffs while she was in jail and being dealt with heavy-handedly by some prison guards and being exposed to a tough wing in a prison where people had died in the last 12 months. When evidently she must have had good behaviour in that prison, or she would not be walking out of prison today. And that is disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And yes, the tweet she put out was unpleasant. Yes, it was probably well advised. And yes, it was no doubt wrong in the way it was worded. However, if you're a free speech advocate, it doesn't matter to you what you put out. But I like a society where we do consider what we say. And if you do say something, you should be allowed to. But we should consider what we're saying beforehand. However, there is not a court in the land, in the world, that should be handing down 31-month sentences to non-violent criminals for tweets. And the other bizarre thing is, Keir Starmer, when he was asked about this, said that he was quite happy that the courts were coming down hard on people's tweets. However, before he was a Prime Minister, when he worked in the legal profession, he was advocating that people who put out tweets that they didn't really mean should be dealt with leniently. You, Keir Starmer, are a two-faced liar. You don't know right from wrong. You disgust me. You flip-flop in every single thing. You have no morals. You have no discipline. You have no compassion. You are an evil man. Lucy Connolly and her family, I hope you can have a fantastic few days and the world can leave you alone just for even a short piece of time. If you want others to see this video, click the thumbs up. If you want others to see it, put some comments below. Even hit the share button with your friends. And more important than that, unless you're the type of person, and we have seen them, that celebrated this young woman, this young mother put in jail, or unless you're the type of establishment that created an environment to put her in jail, then not you. Everyone else, have a great day. Cheery bye now.